Hello everybody and welcome back to another new vlog. Thank you for joining me once again. Just over my left shoulder here is an area of woodland known as Westwood Coppice, which I've only actually been to once before, and I've only vlogged it on that one occasion where I've been in it before. But that's not what I'm interested in today. Today I'm heading to the end of this woodland, because at the end of this woodland there's the site of an old Roman road, and you can actually walk along the old Roman road for about 1.5 miles. So I'm going to head that way, find the Roman road and head along that road as far as I can go. So I'm fairly close to the Roman road now. Apologies for the plane noise above me. I've just walked up this path here from Westwood Coppice, along the edge of it up this path, and now I'm going to be turning around and making my way along this red shale path here, and then as I go along this path there's a right turn off the path which goes into the Roman road itself. So that's where I'm heading right now, and I'll show you when I get there. It looks like I found it. There is a little triangular notice here, a board, which basically tells me this is the Roman road. But as you can see, that there is a bit of an embankment where the the road itself is raised up slightly from the rest of the parkland. It's quite interesting that I found it. I didn't know that was here, so I'm going to make my way up it now. This is called Rycknield Street, or it's more commonly known as Rycknield Street, and I'll tell you more about it as we go along. This road was built by the Romans way back in the 1st century AD. Now of course we are in the 21st century now, so we're looking at something that's about 2,000 years old, and you can still see sections of this road perfectly clearly now. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's known for being one of the best spots in the country to see the remains of a Roman road. It may not be the best, but it's one of the best apparently. So I'm quite enjoying it so far. There hasn't really been anything yet that I've wanted to photograph, but I don't think it'll take too long to find something. I do know that this bit of road actually runs across a golf course several times and through several areas of woodland that I've never been into before, so it could be quite an interesting walk. Now I've just passed a concrete sewer. I don't think that was built by the Romans, surrounded by brickwork and sunk into the ground just next to where the Roman road runs. But I'm about to, in just a few hundred yards, maybe less than that even, actually head on to the golf course for the first time. But before I do, obviously I wanted to stop here and take a picture of this tree behind me. It just seems to be one tree all on its own. There are several other clusters of trees all around, but there's just this one on its own for a few yards. So I'm going to stop and take a photo of this and then move on. So I just found a couple of rabbit holes. Found them the hard way and very nearly crippled myself. But that last shot, there was quite a lot of dynamic range in the shot because the sky is quite a lot brighter than the foreground. So I've exposure bracketed that shot. Hope you like it, but I couldn't really ignore that tree while I was walking along and saw it like that. So I had to stop and capture it. I am literally now just yards from the golf course. I don't know if you can see just over my shoulder here, there's one of the greens there already with several bunkers all around it, and as I turn back the other way, just over here there's another area of, I think it's fairway on the golf course itself. So obviously I'm not very far away from that golf course. I'll have to be a little bit careful here now. So this is getting very interesting now. I'm still on the Roman road, which is really just a gravel path running behind me now. It's only very, very small. The problem is that the most recent section of what I've just walked through was virtually impossible to vlog for a few reasons. First of all, because as I came along this path, it became very, very overgrown and very difficult to actually see where I was going and to keep my eye on the path itself. But also, just over here, that is part of the golf course over there, and there were golfers on the fairway at that side of the path that were about to take shots, so I just basically had to get off the golf course as soon as I could. I've cut across it once so far, twice so far, and I think I'm going to have to cut across the fairways and greens once or twice more before I get to a safer spot. But for the time being, I wanted to pop in here and take a look at this bit of woodland here. This was built in 1977 for the Silver Jubilee of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Now, as most of us know, she recently passed away, but that was built in the year 1977, which just happens to be the year I was born. So this bit of woodland behind me is the same age as me, which I thought was quite interesting. Anyway, I'm going to carry on along this path here, along the rest of the Roman road, and see what else I can spot. This area of woodland that I'm walking through at the moment is called Rotary Coppice, and I'm going to show you a photo of exactly why I know the name of that in just a moment. In fact, it's just here right behind me. There's a stone marker which has got the plaque on it to commemorate the Silver Jubilee, telling us exactly what this woodland is. So I'm going to take a photo of this, and then in about 20 yards I've got to cross the golf course again. So this is a good point really for me to make sure I've got my bearings correct, take a photo and make sure I can get across the golf course fairly safely in a few moments. So while I'm here, I may as well take a photo of this. So I've managed to get to the opposite side of the golf course now, despite one or two mishaps where I took wrong turns and couldn't quite work out where the path was. The path in this section, the Roman road in this section, is much less obvious in parts, so it was very difficult to actually find where the path was going. I think behind me is the Roman road itself, so I'm fairly sure that I am on the right path now. The noise you can hear, by the way, to my left is a main road. It's obviously a more modern main road. Now I think it's either Thornhill Road or Streatley Road, which lead from kind of Sutton Coldfield into Streatley itself, but I'm not entirely sure which of those two roads it is. They join each other somewhere in the middle at the back of the park, the northern end of the park, so I don't really know exactly where I am, but I do know that what I've found appears to be the old Roman road. So I'm going to continue along here, and eventually this comes out of Sutton Park at the far end of the road, far end of the Roman road. But I think there may even be one or two more picture opportunities along here as well. It appears that I had misjudged exactly where I was, and there was still a little bit more of the golf course to negotiate before I would finish. I have just passed what appeared to be the first tee on the golf course, just a few hundred yards back, so I'm assuming now that that means I've got past the entirety of the golf course and I'm on my way towards the end of the Roman road. I am still on it, but I've walked through this quite dense area of woodland, and I think I've spotted these two trees behind me here, which look as though they make an interesting shot in a portrait orientation. So you have the Roman road running towards them and around the outside edge of them, and the two trees on the other side of the path. So I'm going to set up here and see if I can take a shot here and then carry on along this Roman road. hope you like that image. F4 focused on the first tree because I think the second tree was close enough from the distance I was photographing from to be able to get that reasonably well in focus as well at F4. ISO 200. I had to fiddle about a little bit with the exposure, so it might even be an exposure bracketed image because there was a bit of high dynamic range coming from the light above the trees, the sunlight coming through the trees. In a short while I should be getting to a car park at the Streatley gate of Sutton Park, and from there I'll carry on along the old Roman road and then cross the railway line. Once across that railway line, I think there's going to be one last shot there, possibly one or two more before there, but certainly one last shot just after there, and then I'll call it a day. I think it's been quite a long vlog today. I've just seen another one of those triangular signposts on the path that tells me I'm on the Roman road again, so I've obviously walked all the way around it and I'm still on it. So that's quite an interesting little walk I've had today. Along the sides of this Roman road I can see there are ditches every now and then on either side where the ground has been dug out to create way markers for the Romans to see where the road should be built. But also every now and then there are gravel pits which have also been dug out to get enough of the gravel they need to actually build the road itself, as they've piled all the turf up into a pile and then they've had to put on top of there the gravel, compacted gravel for the road. That's where they've got dug the gravel from, those gravel pits. So that's quite an interesting little note. I've found a little spot here as I'm walking where there's an interesting tree behind me. I think I'm going to have to capture a shot of this tree with all of these orange and green ferns in front of it. That's one of my favourite things really, a tree with orange and green ferns in front of it. So this will be an interesting one. I hope you like this one. So that was a focus stacked image because I wanted that tree in focus, but I also wanted an area of ferns just in front of the tree to be in focus, and I wanted these ferns here right at the front of the scene to also be in focus. So it is a focus stacked image, 1/400th of a second because the light's just right for that. ISO 200 f4. Hope you like the image, and it's starting to rain now, so I'm going to call it a day. If you've enjoyed this vlog, watching me walk along the Roman road, then please remember to give it a thumbs up, and remember to subscribe to my channel and see more videos like this. And I look forward to seeing you again on another vlog very soon. Bye for now.